Jack of all trades was the first persistent identity I was assigned. I grew up with a mother in theater, and so to me, truly anything was possible. Like when I came home after a long day of second grade and declared that I was going to write and produce and star in a full-length theatrical adaptation of the new movie Aladdin. We called my future cast. We reimagined that it could be, instead of a genie in a lamp, a genie in a suitcase. And yes, we did put a 7-year-old in the suitcase. And defiantly faced our HOA board when we determined that our condominium's tennis court would be the ideal location for our world premiere. They were not thrilled. After 3 successful seasons of tennis court theater, I was ready for my next adventure, and I launched my first company, Isabeau's Babysitters Club, caring for the young children of the neighborhood. Why the parents of the neighborhood thought it was safe or advisable for a 10-year-old to offer care for their 9-year-olds is a TED Talk for another day, but we did pretty well. Also, at the age of 10, I wrote my first song, Broken Heart. Always a big feelings kind of girl. And then at 13, I recruited some friends yet again on the heels of the Spice Girls and NSYNC, and we started a girl group, Heaven Sent. We wrote and recorded and even sold our demo tapes to our friends, and we played some pretty big gigs too. Highlight being New Year's Eve at Stop and Shop. Yeah, Jack of all trades indeed. Being a multi-hyphenate, someone who is drawn to the creation and the advancement of many things, and who is underwhelmed, if not bored to tears, by the idea of doing one thing forever, is inherently who I am and who I've always been. So it made total sense. This was my idea worth sharing. But when it came time to put pen to paper on this talk, I found that I felt paralyzed. Paralyzed probably by the same thing that made me feel paralyzed at some point in my adolescence, around the time when the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, seemed like it mattered, and seemed like the acceptable response could no longer be theater producer, songwriter, business owner, ice cream tester, any other crazy thing I could dream up. That thing, that paralytic, was when my beloved identity, Jack of all trades, was exposed to me for the first time as a phrase. Jack of all trades, master of none. It was like a weapon of mass self-esteem destruction, even if it wasn't meant to be. But suddenly, there it was, a new unfolding of something sacred that said my strengths were actually my weaknesses. A bomb dropped on me that said I lacked determination or specialization or the ability to follow through. Master of none. It is so easy to linger on those 3 last words. But in order for us to understand why master of none can feel like a commentary on our character, we have to first understand that it is human nature, biologically wired in our brains, to categorize everything. It's how we make sense of the world and our place in it. We learn early and often as children, certain things are good, color, music, toys, and certain things are bad, strangers, weapons, broccoli. I'm sure we all have that well-meaning advisor or neighbor or cousin or grandparent who we tell our big ideas and big dreams to, and they go, "That's nice, honey, but what are you going to be?" As if being is an act that is static, as if being is an act of arriving. And really, who can blame them for asking? And who could blame even the most diverse of us for aspiring to arrive in a world where the only thing constant is change? It is a lovely idea to be a thing that when people think of us, they go, "You're looking for a thing? I know someone who's a thing. They will be so valuable for you to know or to pay or to love." The idea of being a thing, of arriving, gives us this false sense of security and identity that if only we can become excellent at something, then we will never be able to be replaced. We will never be able to be disposed of, because who doesn't want the master? When I finished my time as a student at Berklee College of Music, I moved to Nashville to pursue my songwriting career. And pretty shortly after moving to Nashville, I was recruited to appear on a television show out of LA. I was flown out. I spent the year appearing on commercials and shooting covers of magazines and being interviewed by Larry King. This was during a time where network TV consumed the space that now all of streaming does. And so when our show aired on Thursday nights on NBC, 9+ million people tuned in. 9 million invited audience members, 9 million uninvited critics. I couldn't wait to watch the show alongside them and see what they thought of me, how they would categorize me. I was going to be a lot of things. I was going to be the hot one. I was going to be the cool one. I was going to be the hero. And so when the show aired, I couldn't help myself, and against my now better judgment, I took to the message boards to see what people would think of me, and the blogs and the social media. I've learned that positivity is like water, and negativity is like food coloring. A tiny drop will be enough to color all of the water. When I saw what people thought of me, there was enough to color the water. And suddenly I didn't feel like I knew who I was. I didn't feel in control of my identity or my story. 9 million people were in control of my identity and my story. So in an effort to regain control, I started surrounding myself with categorizations that made no sense to me, but would definitely make sense to other people. I took a day job in corporate finance. One I knew I couldn't really fail at because I didn't really care. I married a man who was perfectly kind, but just didn't set my world on fire because I knew that people would know what it meant to get a Christmas card with 2 people in front of a picket fence. I had a baby because I knew what it meant to be somebody's mother, although I will say that is the one categorization I made for myself that far surpassed my expectations. I would be so committed to not being seen for myself as myself that when Oprah Winfrey's people called and asked me to appear on her show, I would say no. Because I would be so committed to being seen for the box and not the mess that was in it. 5 years into trading myself for my box, something big happened. My boss, who had worked at the company that I worked at for 35 years, her entire career, one day, unceremoniously, was just let go due to a reorganization. Nothing she could have done differently, nothing she could have done better. And I realized as I watched her walk out with her lamp and 35 years packed into a different kind of box, that I could do everything right. I could stay inside every line. I could be easy to understand. I would be valuable to know and to pay and to love. And I could still fail. And not only could I fail at the thing that I didn't want, but by never trying the things that I knew I could do, I would fail at all of that too. After that day, I started writing music again, and then reluctantly and fearfully, I started sharing it. Sharing my songs with friends led to meeting new collaborators and recording artists, and soon I had songs that were getting recorded and released, and that led to a publishing deal. Because I was writing every day, I had to let that day job go, but a girl still got to eat. So my best friend and I started a business that would allow him to be on the road with commercial country artists during the week and would allow me to be a songwriter. And that business grew to a company where we could employ lots of multi-hyphenates, which we both were, and also single parents who needed flexibility, which I, at that point, also was. And then that business and that partnership led to a romance with my best friend and a marriage and more babies, one of whom has a birthday today. And finally, all of those songs and that business with those people, those multi-hyphenates who worked so hard, allowed me to move back to Massachusetts, my home, where I'm now a professor of songwriting at Berklee, and where I help my students share their stories while hopefully dispelling the very tempting myth of a concise and easy to understand Plan B. And because I've learned that joy and fear are pretty reliable compass points. Last year when I was invited to join the production team, I did, and now I am a producer of a real-life, non-tennis court theater Broadway musical. I have these conversations with my students a lot, and I recognize in them what I've recognized in myself, not just as an adolescent and not just as a young woman, but still to this day. I recognize that they are trying to balance their desire to pursue their many passions and their paralysis in feeling like it might not be possible or they don't know how. I think sometimes they believe that a life like this is only accessible to someone who has a lot of time or money or support. So as I considered what to share with you today, I wanted to tell you a few things that I would keep in mind if I were pursuing a multi-hyphenate life from scratch. Number 1, accept the help. You may not have a group of people around you who are able or willing to help you, and that is going to require you to be brave and to share your ideas and to share what you are creating, because what I've learned is there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the world who are going to fall in love with what you do. Let them, and let them be a part of your journey. Number 2, treat your passions like a job. Your big ideas, your big dreams always come with a to-do list. Show up on time. Be impeccable with your word. Treat it like a job. And number 3, I have sat in rooms with CEOs, with entrepreneurs, with billionaires, with celebrities, with Grammy winners and Broadway stars. And while they are impressive, they are no smarter, no more capable, no more creative than any of us. They just have the audacity to believe they belong there. Have the audacity. Even if you have to fake it, which most of us do, even if you have to fight your imposter syndrome every day, have the audacity. The average person works 90,000 hours in their lifetime. I believe if we do it right, it feels like a playground. My work as a professor, as a songwriter, as a producer, as an entrepreneur and leader, as a mentor, as a mother, as a woman, as a human, that is my love letter to the world and to myself. Showing up in organizations where I can make an impact with my creativity, where I can inspire others, and where I can make my corner of the world a more beautiful, more equitable, more fair place to live. That is the greatest act that I can do, not only for myself, but for others. I don't fit in any boxes, but I get to build a lot of them. And I get to get in and try and go, it's more fun on the outside anyway. And what I will tell you is this: if you feel there is not a table for you to sit at, that is your call to build it and to invite others. We live in a world where things change in the blink of an AI. And I still believe that the future is deeply human and relies on those who see the interconnectivity of everything so that they can build and be anything, most importantly themselves. I want to leave you with the final piece of the phrase that you may or may not know of my beloved identity turned cross to bear turned beloved identity again. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. My hope is that you leave here today knowing a definition for a title you probably already held. Most people are far more complex than a single word answer to the question, what are you going to be? My hope is that you leave here today believing there is time. Most of us overestimate what we'll do in 1 year, but severely underestimate what we will do in 10. Don't quit after the first year. Stay in the long game. And my hope is that in your quest to be impressive or understood, that you work only to make two people proud, your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. And finally, my hope is that you leave here knowing there is precedent. And while you never needed it, especially from me, you have permission to go out and pursue all of your plan A's, plural. Thank you.